Hello, hello, welcome. Yay. All right, we'll get started with STEP and a little intro. Well, welcome back to STEP, to our weekly transfer talk. Um, as always, if you're not registered for STEP, please do so. You can register to receive email notifications of the last of our sessions and to also be able to RSVP for our in-person events. You can register for STEP using the QR code on the screen, or you can also visit step.ucsd.edu. All right. And so we're more than halfway done through the STEP program, but we do have some great topics left. So we have transfer talks. So these are the last of the sessions. Next week, we're going to do getting to and around UCSD. So parking and transportation is going to be next week. Getting jobs and getting involved. And then you'll be able to meet the transfer hub at the beginning of September. And then we also have Transfers Connects. So these are more of our social ones. We do have the last ones happening in the next couple of weeks. And so tomorrow, Transfers with Dependents, where if you're a caregiver, or yeah, a caregiver of a family, parent, or have a child, it's definitely a good place to meet other transfer students who are also have dependents as well. And then we have Who is Here to Help. We'll have a virtual version and then an in-person version by RSVP. So definitely make sure that if you're interested in coming in person, you let us know so that we can send you the email information. And so looking ahead, yeah, again, tomorrow, students with dependents. This Friday, we're going to have how to connect with UCSD professors. And then next Monday, we're going to have our Transfers Connect where you can meet the Transfer Hub, peer coaches, and also meet other transfer students as well. And then we're also going to have the research and involvement series. So again, we have a good lineup. Tomorrow, Friday is going to be how to connect with UCSD professors. We're going to have study abroad soon, and then some more folks talk about internships and UCDC later this month. And we have our peer coaching program. So peer coaches are available this summer if you would like to meet with them. All of our peer coaches have completed at least 3 full quarters at UCSD. And every transfer who does not, well, starting in fall quarter, every transfer will be auto-assigned into a peer coach. But again, they're available this summer to meet virtually. And yeah, you can make your appointment. And the Transfer Hub, we are excited to announce that we are hiring student assistants, 3 student assistants to start in the fall quarter. And this application is actually open to incoming transfer students like you and also current students as well. We have some qualifications and some preferences, for example, work study preferred, also transfer student preferred, and this will be for the whole academic year for 2026 to 2027. The way that you can apply is, well, first, definitely scan for the job description. You'll also get this in the email, in the STEP emails as well. So the job description will be linked there. But scan for the job description to make sure that it's something that you're interested in. And if you decide to apply, you send an email to Triton Transfers at ucsc.edu with your resume, a cover letter, which includes the following questions like what interests you in this role? Are you a current transfer student or a newly admitted incoming transfer student? If you have a federal work study, and then if hired, are you able to dedicate one day on campus for HR onboarding? So we're accepting applications and offering interviews on a rolling basis. So hard deadline will be August 23rd. So yeah, really exciting. So if you're interested in being a student assistant, definitely recommend applying and checking out the job description. All right, so please use the Q&A feature on Zoom. The chat is disabled, but we do have a Q&A. So yeah, definitely utilize that. at the end, we'll do a live Q&A. Yeah, and then today I just wanted to introduce we're the Undocumented Student Services. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I will hand it over to Angelica from USS.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining and thank you for having USS here. My name's Angelica. I'm a paralegal at USS, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So I'd like to share with you all who the staff is at USS. So Juanita is our student services director, and we have three on staffs on site. So we have Diana, program manager, who oversees the day-to-day operations of the space as well as any educational workshops. So she's mostly on campus. You'll see her in the office. So that's the educational portion of our services. And then we also have a legal team. So we have Andres, who is part of the UC Immigrant Student Legal Services Center, and Andres is our immigration attorney, and everyone has access to Andres as a UC student. And then we have me. I'm the paralegal, so I provide support to Andres in immigration cases as well as intakes. And then you have two emails down below on the slide. So if you have general inquiries about the resources that we provide to everyone on campus, you can send them at Undoc. But if you have legal inquiries, maybe you would like to get screened or you have legal questions about a matter, you want a second opinion, you can send it over to IMI Services and the legal team does oversee that email. So the legal correspondence will head straight there. Okay, so what is our commitment to our students? So at USS, we're committed to serving undocumented and mixed status students, so through a holistic approach, which encompasses personal guidance, immigration, legal services, community building, partnerships, and referrals. So our programs and services are designed to help folks overcome obstacles that may arise from their immigration status and support them through personal and academic excellence. So we offer guidance consultations. So Diane will oversee those consultations because we understand that there's a lot of complexities within higher education. And so we offer the space where students can not only confidentially disclose their immigration status, but seek the support that they need to overcome those obstacles and ensure that they have a successful academic journey. Over at the Immigration Legal Services side, all students and their immediate family members, so immediate family members can be parents, siblings, spouse, children, they have access to Andres and myself for a consultation or for case representation at no fee, no charge. We don't charge for our services. And this is open to all students and staff at UCSD. So a disclaimer about our immigration legal services. So like I said, we work with UC Immigrant Legal Services Center and they're based off at the UC Davis School of Law. So throughout California, every UC has an attorney on site. So here at San Diego, it's Andres and myself. But if you have maybe siblings at another school, maybe UCLA, Merced, Santa Cruz, each UC has an attorney on site that offers the same services that we do. So what are the services that we offer? If you scan the QR code, it's a more detailed frequently asked questions where we can download the PDF with this list. So the services that we provide can range from like legal intakes, maybe you want a screening, maybe you want advice or a second opinion, maybe you're looking for case representation on something that you or your family members have, or you want to be referred to a specific service, or just general legal support or know your rights sessions. We offer those as well. Obviously, you all are here. And then the actual cases that we handle can involve DACA renewals, U visas, adjustment of status, naturalization, as you see on the list. The services that we don't provide representation, or legal services are for employment-based visas, such as like H-1B, L-1P visas, or student visas like F-1 or J-1. These fall outside of our area of expertise. So if you have questions on an employment-based student visas, we may not be able to provide complete consult because they are out of our areas of expertise, but we do have the referrals to at least guide you in the right direction with an attorney that does specialize in those questions. Again, you can scan the QR code and you have access to the frequently asked questions sheet. Okay, so these are some of our flagship programs at USS. If you have any questions on these, you can always reach out to me or to Diane, and we'll be happy to assess whether you're eligible for any of these programs. The first one being the Yes Food program. This is in a partnership between Basic Needs Hub and USS. So there's a lot of food insecurity that our students face, and this program was created to address those needs. So if you're eligible and you do get and receive Yes Food program, the lowest amount you can get is $100 all the way up to $300 a month for food assistance. And this is issued through gift cards. So it can be used in grocery stores, restaurants, food delivery services, because we are aware that maybe students don't have access to a kitchen or a way to cook their meal. So if you're eligible and you're approved, you can decide how you want to receive those gift cards. And this is open to both undergrads and graduate students. Something that I like to highlight is that sometimes students don't apply because they feel like they're taking a resource away from someone else. Maybe they feel like they're not, quote unquote, they don't feel like they need it because they can afford their meals. Or sometimes folks feel guilty for using a resource. But, we really emphasize that these resources are there for you all. These are services that you can use. And if you're eligible, please take advantage that there is funding to be able to provide you with a meal. Even $100, the lowest amount, even $100 in your account can help you get through the month. If you're having like a bad month for whatever reason or personal reasons, that is there to support you. Another flagship program is Equity Grant. The grant is to cover costs of professional development activities. So if you're interested in a conference or you want to go to graduate school, as you know, conference registration fees are expensive. They can be 100, 500, 1,000, depending on the conference that you want to go to. Or if you'd like to prepare for graduate school, you need an MCAT book, you need an LSAT book, or whatever other resources. We provide grants to help cover the fees of those items. And again, this is open to both undergrads and graduate students. And our last flagship program is our PACE Fellowship. So it stands for Personal and Career Experience. A lot of students may not be able to get work experience because they don't have work authorization or they have other obstacles that prevent them from obtaining direct experience and to build the resume. So we have a program that allows undergraduate students the opportunity to be paired up with a mentor on campus and learn direct mentorship, professional and personal development. And these students receive up to $7,200 in scholarships for participating. Other events that we host in the category, again, of professional development workshops, we create a lot of workshops designed to help undocumented and mixed-status students find kind of like a path for after graduation to prepare them for various things, such as maybe how do you apply for an ITIN or how do I start my own business or topics in financial literacy. We do host a lot of those workshops so that we can prepare students to have access to this knowledge, not even just for after graduation, but just for life in general. Another one of my favorite events that we host are the Wellness Wednesdays, and this is in partnership with Counseling and Psychological Services. We have someone from the team come with us, and then we partner up by offering like a crafts and arts day. So this takes place during lunch. It's I believe, every even week of the quarter, we have something. So like we can make buttons or coasters or we paint. There's a large variety of things that we do. And if that doesn't tempt you enough, we also cover lunch during that hour. So if you just want to come by with your friends and grab lunch and just use a creative outlet to be participant in these workshops, it's open to all students, and the flyers will be made available via Instagram. So keep an eye on those. We also host a graduation celebration. So it's like an intimate, kind of like a joyful event where we celebrate the accomplishments of our students. And this is open to all students. If you want to take a moment, if you're ready to graduate and you want to honor your family, honor yourself, we do give students that opportunity to give a speech and share their thoughts on graduating and really celebrating their accomplishment. And then we have other workshops throughout the year, depending on our collaborations with partners across campus. Okay, as we kind of shift into a little more legal topics, a reminder for everyone that the content of today's presentation is for informational purposes only. It does not constitute legal advice. So every case is different. Maybe you have a case or you want to be screened or you have legal questions. Please note that the questions and answers, although your name is not being shared, it is not a confidential setting to go like deep into collecting facts. So I recommend that if you want to get screened or you have questions, to reach out to an immigration attorney for a consult, which would be Andres, or I'm happy to meet with you to provide a screening. Okay. So obviously we're called Undocumented Student Services, and I always like to take a moment to describe and define what does it mean to be undocumented? Because in this political climate, there's a lot of negative connotations surrounding the word. You might be familiar with this word, or you might hear other variations of the word, such as illegals or illegal aliens or just aliens. I kind of like to shift the connotation of that term and really define it for what it could be, right? So what does it mean to be undocumented if someone says that, right? If someone identifies? Being undocumented is broad. it can encompass many groups of immigration statuses. So it's not just what the media fabricates or what the media wants you to think it means, but it can mean a lot of things. If someone identifies as undocumented, it can mean maybe that they entered without inspection. Maybe they came in, through the mountains or through the desert or on a boat and they weren't paroled or admitted. Maybe they were just simply were not inspected. Maybe they entered to the US with legal status, but they overstayed. A common example is folks often come in with a tourist visa. Maybe they travel back and forth between the US and their home country, or maybe they just came in that one time and they never left. That's an overstay. Most commonly now that we're seeing is international students are being affected as well. So they overstay their F1 status due to obstacles or logistics or delays in their paperwork, and then they become out of status. So that's a category. Maybe someone had deferred action for childhood arrivals or DACA, or they applied for DACA and their application's in limbo. Maybe they forgot to renew or they couldn't renew. Many reasons why someone couldn't renew their DACA or not get DACA. And DACA is a deferred action program. So it doesn't mean that there's legal status in that. It just means that kind of like the government is promising not to deport them at the moment. So that's another category. Or maybe someone is currently in the process of legalizing. Maybe someone does have an opportunity to adjust status either through a partner or a family member or an employment visa, who knows? But either the cost is so expensive from the applications or they can't afford a private attorney, they're in the process of legalizing. Or maybe there's just obstacles in their way in which they're getting their application rejected, or so many things can be happening, but they're in the process of legalizing, but they're still undocumented. It also just encompasses a group of vulnerable immigrants. With that said, so at our office, we invite everyone to our office. It's open to everyone. And I like to emphasize this because although our office is called Undocumented Student Services, it is open for anyone. Some of the questions we get is like, well, I'm not undocumented. Can I go into the space? Well, I'm not undocumented, but can I talk to someone? This space is open for all students. Bring your friends. There's a study space. We have a full kitchen, full fridge. We have air fryer. We have a microwave, a toaster, a panini. We have a coffee machine and a coffee grinder. So if you ever want to need to pass by, get some snacks or take a meal to go, we have fully stocked cabinets and fridge. So don't ever feel like you can't access our space. And it's welcome for all students. Apart from those amenities, we also offer a food pantry, which Basic Need Hubs is so graciously welcoming to us in like receiving dried goods and other items. We also offer free printing, school supplies, and personal care items. And this is a space where you'd meet with us if you make an appointment with us. So if you don't know your way around campus, just remember that if you want to visit our space, just head over to Croutons, which is like the deli shop or the sandwich shop, and they're located on floor 2. So we are located floor 5, so right on top of Croutons. So this is what you're seeing in the picture. You're seeing the patio that's in front of our office. And now it's easier to spot us because on the windows on the right, now there's like tinting and it says Undocumented Student Services. So it's really easy to see our door. So yeah, we welcome everyone to visit us. Okay, some reminder to students is that AB 540 and the California Dream Act, they remain in effect. So AB 540 has expanded to allow students to count their years spent at a community college or adult school towards their eligibility for in-state tuition at a UC. Also, California Dream Act is in place, and the California Student Aid Commission remains committed to protecting student information. With that, also, there are scholarships available. So just because someone identifies as undocumented or mixed status, they feel like there's no scholarships available for their academics and any academic resources they might need. If you scan this QR code, we recommend that you check out Immigrants Rising because they have this huge list of national scholarships and fellowships that don't require proof of U.S. citizenship. It's a really long list. It's wonderful. There's a lot of money to be grabbed there. You just have to take the time to invest, dig in, and see what kind of piques your interest and apply. And there's so many filters depending on your major, on the topics, how you identify. There's lots of scholarships, so I highly recommend you check them out. And the overall message that I want to share from, on behalf of the USS team is that you are not alone. So we understand the obstacles and the difficulties that undocumented students, mixed status students are experiencing on campus and through the political climate. So we want to really emphasize that we are a safe space. We are a space that students can come in, speak with staff confidentially, and we'll support you regardless of your immigration status, regardless of your background. We are here to make sure that you not only excel academically, but in your well-being as well. Okay. Moving over to protections in place. So if you haven't heard already, Senate Bill 98 in California was passed, also known as the Sending Alerts to Families and Education SAFE Act, which requires K-12 schools and institutions of higher education to notify communities when immigration enforcement authorities are present on campus. So what does this look like at UC San Diego? Oops, I accidentally clicked forward. Okay, so what does this look like at UC San Diego? So almost similar to how when we get emails when there's like a criminal activity, something like that. It would be like a simple email that says a location and the time or the date of when immigration authority is expected to be on campus. So it would be a notification of that type. So, on the topic of potentially seeing immigration in the community, immigration authorities in the community or on campus, sharing this information because this is how we support one another with accurate information, right? So, we know that our campus community and our partners, we're all sharing information with each other to keep each other informed. One of the best ways that we can support each other is by sharing information from trusted and verified sources. So when we lead with facts and care, this really helps reduce confusion, strengthen our community, and ensure that everyone has access to reliable information. We say this because, it's totally valid when someone sees someone dressed up in a vest, right, with a gun or whatever. Our immediate thought is like, oh my gosh, it's ICE, right? It is a scary feeling to see someone from enforcement from any agency in a vest with a gun, right? It's kind of it grabs you at your nerves. But it's really important to take a moment, take a breather, and say, is this really ICE or what agency is it, right? Maybe it's an officer that went to go get money from the ATM and they're walking back to their truck, right? Maybe it's a police officer responding to a call. Maybe someone's got their bike stolen. There's many reasons why an agency can be on campus, but before we kind of spread confusion and spread fear, let's take a moment to actually verify where the action is coming from in terms of reporting an agency that may or may not be on campus. So if you actually do see ICE on campus, you are advised to notify UC San Diego Police or UC San Diego Health Security Dispatch at those two numbers so that they can be alerted as soon as possible because they do want to protect students should there be ICE, and it's good for them to be notified of any movement on campus. If you directly have contact with ICE on campus, like maybe they come into your space or whatever the interaction looks like, all students, faculty, and staff responding or having contact with immigration should refer them to campus counsel. So there's the email warrants@usc.edu because campus counsel are the ones that have to verify the legality of any warrant that they're presenting, a court order or subpoena. So any questions that they might ask or any interaction with ICE should be directed to campus counsel. Okay, now this wouldn't be a Know Your Rights presentation without at least a Know Your Rights slide, right? So maybe most of you are familiarized with some sort of variation of this. Maybe you've seen it on Instagram, on other social media platforms. But it's always a good thing to refresh because although our rights are super, super important now more than ever, it's very different in terms of the theory behind it and in practical matter, right? So regardless of any of your immigration status, you have constitutional rights. During any interaction with Border Patrol, ICE, or law enforcement, please do not run, do not fight or resist arrest, do not interfere with or obstruct the police, do not lie or provide false documents, and stay calm and be polite. The two amendments that I want to highlight with this slide are the Fourth Amendment, which is the right against search and seizure of your home, and the Fifth Amendment, the right against self-incrimination. So the Fourth Amendment is the right to be secure in your person, house, papers, effects against unreasonable searches and seizures. So unless an officer has a warrant signed by a judge or a magistrate with your name on it, they do not have permission to enter your residence or to search any of your belongings. This is the right to be, protection against your search and seizure with unreasonable cause. So what does this mean? If someone wants to pat you down or search your belongings, your car, your residence, etc., and you do not consent, you can say so out loud. I do not consent to this search. That is your right. The next one is the Fifth Amendment. So you have the right to remain silent. Under this amendment, you have the right to remain silent and refuse to answer questions asked by law enforcement, which includes police officers and immigration agents. So something that you can say, I am exercising my Fifth Amendment right under the US Constitution to remain silent. Another phrase that we use is, I'll answer your questions in the presence of my attorney, because you have the right to speak to an attorney. One thing to note is that unlike criminal court, where the government provides an attorney for you, in immigration court, you do not get a lawyer. So if you are detained or you're arrested, you can ask for a lawyer, and you can also ask to be given a list of free or low cost legal services for you to call. Now more than ever, the right to remain silent is very important, not just because that is your right, but in practical manners, we're seeing these enforced in different ways. So we have to be strategic with how you exercise that right. So it could be seen more like a defense. Silence is a defense because if folks are being racially profiled, your right to remain silent can protect you from disclosing things that can incriminate you in court, right? So I'm very passionate about this topic, so I won't go too detailed into the process of immigration court and removal proceedings. But when someone is placed in removal proceedings, the government has the burden to prove that that person is deportable, that that person should be deported back to their home country. So, in simple manners, the government has the burden to prove that that person is not from that country. So, by not giving them the answers, by not answering where you're from, where is your home country, what's your citizenship, by not answering those questions, you're not doing their homework for them. You have the right to remain silent and you can answer their questions in the presence of an attorney. Because with an attorney, they can at least give you counsel on what to answer and then how to answer. So this is why it's important that, if you're carrying any false documents, if you have a fake social, a fake work permit, a fake green card, not to carry those documents with you because in a moment of legal crisis, your credibility is your strongest asset. And we want to protect your rights and also make sure that your rights are not violated. So if you take anything from this slide is that, the Fourth Amendment to not consent against a search, unless there's suspicionable reason, like you're carrying like drugs or a gun. And the Fifth Amendment, your right to remain silent. And you might be thinking, that's a lot of information. How am I going to remember all this? Well, don't worry. We have Know Your Rights cards. We keep them in the office. So there's two various Know Your Rights cards. So maybe you've seen the famous red cards going around. We have them at USS in a lot of different languages. And these were created by Immigrant Legal Resource Center. So on one side is English, on the other side is the language of choice. If we have the physical cards, they're tiny, they fit anywhere. But you can also Google red cards, ILRC, and then you can print them at home or create them however you want. And there's many, many languages on their site, and they're free to download. Those are very nifty to carry around. And then we also have the Know Your Rights cards that were designed by UC Immigrant Legal Services Center. These are cool. For now, they're only in English, but the cool thing about these is not only do they have the information that I just shared on the previous slide, but at the end, our attorney Andres, his contact information is on there. So this is really neat. So you have the attorney's information with you. So if you carry these in your wallet, purse, backpack, wherever you are, it's just really nice to have. Hopefully you don't have to use them, right? But in the moment that you need to use them, the information that is on there is essential. So not only having this information is important, but being confident and comfortable enough to understand what you're saying when you're saying it, right? So I welcome everyone to, stop by our space. I'm happy to kind of guide you where these cards are and provide those for you and your family members. Okay, so this slide has a lot of good information. So in the case or in the situation that you are in a legal crisis, or maybe you have a family member that is detained, how can we at UCIMM support you in a moment of crisis, right? So like I said, our immigration and consultation services are free for anyone. All UCSD students and affiliates have access to Andres and myself. During a crisis, you are able to reach out to Andres, our attorney, for support. If someone is arrested or detained by immigration authorities, UCIMM is available as a first point of contact. This doesn't mean that we guarantee that we'll represent you in a case or that we can, guarantee that you're able to be let out of detention or not deported, but we can at least be the first point of contact to at least facilitate the conversation, find someone in the detention system and provide counsel. We can support individuals and loved ones by identifying like any screening or relief that that person might have, and then triage. So, gathering facts, trying to support a case if there is a case. The thing to know is what is in red is that the request for assistance must be from the UC affiliate or the designee. So if we hear that someone is detained, or maybe you have a loved one that's detained, we can't put ourselves in that situation. We can't volunteer directly to assist you or the loved one has to come to us to ask for assistance, and then we can step in to support you. And what does that look like? So if you, I recommend y'all save this number. We also have Andres's business cards in the office, which I'm happy to share, if you visit our space. His contact number is a 530 number. And you can also email him at the two emails below, but his direct email is the andres.usim email. So in a moment of crisis, say that you need Andres right away. You can email him, text him, voicemail, whatever is useful at the moment with the following information that's in the blue box. So the full legal name of the detained individual, what the affiliation is to the UC. So are they a parent? Are they a student? Are they faculty? We need to know what their affiliation is. Very important, if not the most important piece of information on here, is the 9-digit number. So anyone that's in the immigration system will be issued a 9-digit number. That's how folks are found in the system. So, like if you have DACA or you have a green card or something of that nature, you were already given an A number. You could find it on your green card, on your work permit, etc. If someone doesn't have an A number, they'll be issued one once they're in the detention system, and then the detainee has to reach out to give them that number. So, if anything, that's the first piece of information you need to ask for. What is the A number? Also, just as important is the date of birth, country of birth, and a brief explanation of the situation. So, as much as you'd like to send a whole essay on what happened, please keep it short. Maybe you could say, "Oh, I had a parent. They were at work. They came out to the parking lot, and then ICE detained them." It could be as simple as that. Keep in mind, if Andres doesn't answer his phone call, if it's after hours, he may not get to it right away, but please leave a voicemail and a text, and he will do his best to review that call or that text. His usual hours is 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday, and he'll check his work emails and calls on weekends. But please keep calm if something like this happens to you. As long as you reach out to Andres and you share this information with us, we will be able to provide support in that way. So, how can you connect with us? So, all this information that I'm sharing is a summary of our resources, but in the greater scope of things, legal updates are happening every single day, and it is overwhelming even to us. So, as opposed to bombarding everyone with our social media posts of updated legal policies and statutes, we have this great site over at USS under legal updates where we kind of grab the most important policies that affect students or our community members. We grab that information, we make it digestible. So we summarize it in words that can be understood by the common person, right? Because sometimes we don't understand what immigration is saying. So we kind of summarize it on this page. So if you scan the QR code, it'll take you directly to the USS site. Also to the UCIMM site is another great source of information. That way it's not overwhelming with a bunch of stuff that we don't understand, right? So the main headlines will be under legal updates, and we do keep that updated frequently. The highlight that I share with all of you is that news outlets and social media, they're overwhelming. They're constantly spamming with so much information. Most of it is fear mongering. They want to scare us. They want to cause confusion. And I just want to share that it's very important to fact check any information you're processing or that you're hearing, especially because a lot of people just want to spread fear or misinformation, and that doesn't help us make our community feel empowered. So whenever you repost information, whenever you share information, take a moment to pause and say, am I reposting something that is going to be informative? Will this cause fear or panic, or is this actually empowering to someone? Will this be useful to someone in a legal crisis? Sometimes if you don't know if something is credible, our team is available to also assist with that. If you want to come and say, hey, I heard this policy, is this real, is this legit, share the source with us. We're happy to break it down with you and explain it and explain the circumstances of that event or of that policy or of that news headline. So you can trust us to be a reliable source, and at the legal team we're able to process that information and share it in a way that is digestible, and also we can help calm kind of any anxiety that comes up with new policies. So yeah, please feel free to reach out to us. That was a lot of information, but I hope that you took away some good information from this. If you have any questions from us, general inquiries can be sent to Undoc. So if you want to apply for Yes Food or PACE, or you want a grant, you can email Undoc. But for legal inquiries, maybe you want to do a screening for yourself or for a loved one, you can do IMMI services, and we'll go ahead and flag that. Thank you so much to everyone. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Yeah, thank you, Angelica. Very important information for our students. And I think I learned a lot too, from your presentation. So yeah, thank you so much for for the information that you shared. Um, yeah, if there's any question, we have time for Q&A. So yeah, feel free to submit any questions. There is one student that asked, is there a cap on the amount of money we can receive? And I believe this was in regards to, I think this was while you were talking about the grant. So wondering if you might know.
Yes, I believe there is a cap. So Diane will work directly with the student to figure out what financial aid is already being received, and if receiving any other funds or grants will affect that. So yeah, Diane will sit with the student and you'll work on it together.
Okay, awesome. All right. Any other questions for our participants? All right. I think those are all the questions for now. Give it a minute or two. But yeah, thank you so much, Angelica. I think that was some good information, especially about what USS can do for students and families as well and affiliates. So yeah, again, I think I learned some good stuff in there too.
Yeah, you're welcome. And if you have any referrals, maybe students that are not on this webinar and like outside, please feel free to send them directly to me. I'm usually the first point of contact when I screen students for legal relief. So feel free to just do a warm handoff. I'm really happy to see first time students because like I understand legal screening sounds scary. It's like, oh, like I don't want to give my confidential information. It is scary. So I kind of help break that down with them and say, this is why I'm asking you this information. This is the relief. And I like to break everything down from an educational perspective.
Yeah, good to know. There is a student that asked, do you handle SIJS? I'm not sure if, yeah.
Yes, we do. And okay, I'm such a nerd for this topic. Thank you to whoever asked that. Yes, we do. Special immigrant juvenile status. And it's such an important relief because I'm going to do a summary. So, if you are a minor under 21, and that's very important because the age out for this relief is crucial. You have to be under 21 to apply for this. If you have suffered abandonment, neglect, or abuse from one parent or two parents, and there's other eligibility questions that I asked, but I'm not going to go through it here. You may qualify for SIGIS, and SIGIS is something that can cause if you are approved for SIGIS and the court finds that you do have abandonment, abuse, neglect from one or both parents, if approved, you are able to get a green card in the future. So you'll get approved for the visa, you wait some years, and then you can get a green card. So if you think that you qualify or you're eligible for SIGIS and you're interested, please, please, please reach out to me so that we can go ahead and do that screening right away, especially if you're about to turn 21.
Great. All right. Well, thank you so much. I think I will end the webinar here, but thank you again. And now I know that we can refer to students to you as well. Yeah, and thanks for our participants. All right. Have a good afternoon, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.